Hey, what's up, everyone?
Oh, hey, we're
in
the air.
Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler. This is episode number 206. Today's topic is WordPress marketing, plugins, and platforms. Let's go around the room real quick, get everyone introduced. George, tell us all about yourself.
He's not on.
Hi, I'm George Thomas. I work on Jetpack at Automatic, and I am co-founder with Sarah Weffold of the WordPress Illuminati.
Don't even start with me right now.
Awesome. What about you, John?
You're all going down.
I'm John Brown. I'm the owner of 9 Seeds, a custom WordPress development shop who sells a couple of plugins in very low volume. And also a digital nomad, world traveler, frequent WordCamp attendee. Hoping to see some of you next week at WordCamp Phoenix.
Also pretty decent human being. I'd like to file that under there.
Pretty decent.
Yeah.
Pretty something nice.
Yeah.
Sarah, how about you?
Hi, I'm Sarah Weffold, and I'm the production manager at Zeek Interactive. I also facilitate the OC WordPress Design Meetup, which is the first Monday of every month.
Nice. Good to have you on. Say, how about you?
Oh, hey, I'm Say Reed. I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress at Say Reed Media on all the things. Proud representative of the Love and Light team at all times, on all channels. All hashtags.
I don't even know what that means.
What about you, Steve?
I am Steve Zengin. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress Meetup.
Awesome. I'm Jason Tucker, Team Instinct. That's all you need to know.
I need to find you a GIF about Team Instinct.
You are dead.
Steve, you're working like a Paul Rudd look today. You notice that? You got a Paul Rudd thing going on here.
Thank you.
Are you like being like, you know, adorably like, what is that, curmudgeonly and awkward?
It's
What's
okay,
the topic?
man. Sign doesn't matter.
I'm talking about brands.
Thank you.
That I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Steve knew that we were going to be talking about marketing stuff, so he walked over to the side of the room. He grabbed the shirt, the only shirt that's hanging on the wall.
Been hanging there for a year.
And he put it on real quick, and he's like, "Okay, so the client's here. Let's talk a little bit about marketing."
Put light on. There we go, light.
So let's talk a little bit about WordPress and marketing. So we've you know
hey guys, hey.
On our other show on WP Blab, we've talked a ton about marketing because Bridget's a huge marketing person. She loves doing marketing type stuff. I found myself in a situation where I do all the marketing type stuff for WPwatercooler and all the things that happen here. So I've slowly but surely have gotten myself to a point where it's like, okay, at least understand how all the tools work to do marketing type stuff. But what about like the strategies of using those within WordPress? Right? Is that kind of where we were going with this,
Say, you're asking me?
Yeah, you.
So according to Wikipedia.
Sure, let's talk about that. I think it's actually about really how to use what tools are there, because I think there's a lot of marketing strategy out there. And I think that how to market a WordPress website is not really all that different from how to market all the things. In fact, I think that's kind of a misnomer. People think you have to market differently. Now you just market all the things kind of the same way. But I think it's the tools that you use that enable your workflow to either totally suck or to be easier and more automatic. And then that makes doing the marketing, doing the thing, much easier. Like you've introduced a bunch of new tools, Jason, in terms of the WP water cooler flow.
Yeah. We're going to be talking more about the shiny tactics that we can use, right? Not so much the strategies of how to market.
Yeah, because I mean, at that point,
that's stuff. I want to know the stuff. What are the tools here?
That's like SEO at this point. It's like, you know, we'll let the SEO people talk about the SEO stuff. We'll let the marketing people talk about the marketing stuff.
I mean, we could talk about SEO all day.
Just install Yoast, and you're done. That's all you need.
Yeah, one click.
That's actually true.
But if you install multiple SEO plugins, you get multiple SEO. Right?
Absolutely, yeah, it's exponential.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, okay,
That's not true.
Wait, since we're talking about SEO,
quickly, I just want to say that's a joke. That's a joke.
That was a joke.
Don't do that, just like you shouldn't drill a hole in your iPhone.
However,
well,
or your head. Don't do that either.
Well,
no.
Wait, to the SEO point. Okay, SEO, actually huge component of marketing. SEO, also one of my favorite things because it's so much fun and it involves words. No. There is a cool new tool that I have found that I talked about at some of my talks last week. It's an SEO plugin, but it's not doing the same thing that Yoast is doing. It's called SEO by Squirrly. Squirrly.
Is it Squirrly?
I think so. I don't know. But what it does is it's really great for clients because it can actually help you do keyword comparison research in the admin, like in the post while you're doing it. So for clients who are trying to figure out, they're in there and they're like, okay, I'm blogging, and then to have them go to another site and leave and do keyword research and try to figure that stuff out can be really confusing. They can help you do it right there. So it's not competing with Yoast, it's actually showing you which of the phrases you're possibly using are searched more, et cetera, et cetera. So it gives you some keyword data in the post editor admin.
Kind of like Scribe used to do.
I don't know about that, but maybe if you say so. I believe you.
But honestly, the absolute most important thing that you can ever do for any of your content really is actually write the content in the first place. Have it out. Because I've seen so many. Yes, what? I've seen so many sites that spend so much time sweating the details and the minutia of making sure they have their titles and their keywords and all the minutia of SEO done, but then they don't actually write articles. They don't actually post fresh content on a regular basis. If you don't do that, nothing else is really going to matter.
So let's pretend for a second.
Well,
let's pretend for a second that you have a blog where you're posting regular fresh content.
Like once a year?
Like maybe even once a week.
Don't get crazy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, that's a lot of hiring.
So
Never happened. See you in Fantasyland.
when you're doing
Look,
that,
we
there are
can't
some
all hire Chris Lemma. I'm just saying.
I know. But when you actually do this thing that you're supposed to do, there are a number of tools that you can use and integrate with your WordPress site in order to get people to see your content more. One of them is a network called Triberr.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what you do there is you join a bunch of different groups that are people who also write about the same things that you write about. You include your RSS feed or multiple RSS feeds in some cases into those groups, and then people can read your work and reshare it to their networks. Because when you're doing a marketing campaign, especially on social media, you don't want to share your own content all the time. I would say
or just your own content.
Exactly. I would say maybe make every one out of every 4 or 5 posts something that you wrote, and everything else should be amplifying other stuff and creating community that way. So Triberr lets you do that.
And there's a plugin for WordPress for that too, if I remember right.
Yes. Yeah.
Literally
Triberr makes it really easy to integrate with WordPress.
So
honestly,
let me back
what
up.
is the wait? Can I ask you? I want to ask about that tool.
No,
what
I want
is
to
the
back up
plugin
a
actually do?
John, go for it, dude.
All right, John.
Okay, so if we're going to talk about marketing, right? Like we're talking about marketing WordPress products and services both.
Yeah.
I think one of the first things you have to identify is what your demographic is and how you're actually expected to reach that demographic. And I say that because you talk about Triberr from the standpoint of you can find people who will share your content on social media, but is there really that much value
within your subject group?
Right, but is there that much value in just sharing content blindly to the masses?
Well, it's not blind.
Well, regardless of that, I'm sure John has a point.
If you're trying to target a particular customer group. So if you're targeting enterprise versus targeting plugin sales, I think one of the things people forget is they start blogging with no real idea of where they're sharing it or who they're sharing it to. Or they should start tweeting or Facebooking or whatever. You really need to identify that first. Now, I said all of that to line up the fact that one of the best examples of it, I think, of this is a company called Delicious Brains, which is an awesome company name.
And a zombie.
They make a plugin called WP Migrate DB Pro, which many of us web developers love. The content they write is exactly targeted to their demographic for their plugins. It's about development topics. It extends beyond just the WordPress realm, even though their products are all WordPress-based. But they've really identified their niche, and they now target their niche very heavily. I think it's worth saying that that's where it kind of starts, is identifying your niche.
Okay, but so we weren't going to talk about strategy because there's a lot of that out there. I totally agree with you. But is there a WordPress tool that helps people identify their niche that you could identify? I could.
Well, are we only looking at WordPress tools, or are we looking at
WordPress
services and products?
Anyway, I mean, we're talking about tools to do the marketing, because everyone's out there talking about marketing. Like, there's so much talk about marketing. You can like drop like a letter in Google and find marketing articles. But what is not the always thing to do, like I was talking about, is managing that workflow. So Sarah, what you're talking about is that, yeah, you can put out to Triberr, and there's a plugin that I'm assuming auto posts your content to Triberr, to your Triberr network.
Yes.
And it uses RSS to do it as well.
And all right. So like, in terms of targeting, there, besides the SEO targeting with the Squirrly plugin that I was talking about, there also is, it's not as good as it was because it got bought out by HubSpot, but a plugin called Leadin, and there's multiple ones out there that will track any user that's come to your site and filled out a form or done any sort of kind of interaction, given you their email, basically, some sort of trackable thing. And then you can track that user throughout their interactions with your site. You can get demographics about them. So that can actually help you figure out who actually is coming to your site and who your audience is. So I hope there's another plugin out there like that, because now Leadin is all based on HubSpot's stuff.
Crazy.
Agile CRM does that too.
Who is it?
Agile CRM.
Do they have a plugin?
No.
Oh.
Snap or Seed Prod. I won't look it up.
Yeah.
Seed Prod has another thing where they connect their stuff and give you basically customer profiles, or at least user visitor profiles of your site. So there's some pretty cool plugins that can help you do that also.
Going back to what John was saying regarding
Jason, I've got to apologize. I completely misunderstood the topic for today. So yeah, Cesar.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
You never have to apologize for misunderstanding anything.
Say does it every week.
Talking about marketing for WordPress plugins and platforms, not plugins and platforms in WordPress for marketing. So I'll switch my whole brain.
Oh.
Oh my God, that is totally.
We missed a comma. No.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Marketing.
Going back to what John was saying regarding this, you can definitely do this sort of stuff using just Google Analytics out of the box. Install one of your favorite Google Analytics plugins and look to see who's coming to the site, how they're getting there, what pages are getting to it, and allowing you to use other tools to now collect the correct data, squeeze pages, all these other marketing type terms that people use to trick people into buying their product. This is a non-marketing person. Uh-oh. We broke the internet.
We broke it. Well, we can talk more about. I didn't know if you guys wanted to talk more about what you're talking about, or if you wanted to talk more about it. I'm trying to be polite. I don't know. It's awkward.
Another.
Is it working?
Yeah, I know it's not normal when you're.
It's not normal.
When Steve's trying to be polite, I get worried.
Another cool tool that you can use is CoSchedule, because CoSchedule will take the stuff that you post on your website and put it out to social media at intervals that you preset. It'll also repost old articles of yours, so you're not only having to post your new stuff. And it's a handy thing that people enjoy.
You know what I like? I love a plugin called Dashter.
Throwback.
That's not nice.
Around?
No, it's not nice.
Sorry,
I was like, I haven't heard that. It's like
it sounded a little bit
memory.
I think I may actually still have that installed on the site somewhere.
Does it work?
So
No,
we would
I
be
don't think
remiss
it
if we talked about auto publicizing and we didn't actually talk
I was going to
about...
ask if anybody uses the Jetpack one.
Hey, George, want to
do.
talk about Publicize?
Well, Publicize has a slightly different feature set in that it's more structured so that when you're first publishing something, it'll go out, but it's not like you can go back and republish older articles, though that is something we're looking at potentially rolling in the future. But I mean, part of the problem with a lot of the publicizing plugins right now is that as soon as one of the services up and changes their API, all the plugins break.
Which
we
they're
try and
doing
work behind
constantly.
Oh yes, there was a huge Google Plus change just a couple weeks ago that Google decided to push without even giving us a heads up. But the nice thing is, since everything runs through WordPress.com, we can update to the new API requirements on our end, so most users won't even notice the blip in service.
Happens to Twitter twice a day.
Are you saying there are Google Plus users? Are you saying that?
Pardon?
Google's just
You're actually saying there are Google Plus users that would notice that?
So
we've gotten service requests from someone, so I would assume.
So I always like Publicize and Jetpack because it works. It just always seemed pretty limited in how it shares out to Facebook and stuff.
I think the problem that I have with most of those is the fact that those Jetpack's Publicize tool works all the time because it routes to the WordPress.com is the best part, because plugins, the Twitter plugins for the different Twitter feeds and whatnot break constantly, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, it's just not showing up anymore, and they have no reason to think that there's an API change that caused that, or that they should update their plugin.
Revival Post is ours. That's the one that we use for doing any type of old postings that need to be revised or revived. So being able to take old posts that are on your site, it looks at it, figures out what the time requirements were, and then it says, oh, this thing's not old enough or it's too old, and then it just goes and posts those out to the site, to the various social networks. So those are really nice for doing that type of stuff.
I think I misunderstood you. I think you were just saying that folks might need to update their plugins sometimes. They can't just like install it once and let it go for years at a time. Is that right?
Well, the thing is, even if there's not always a plugin update ready right away, because as you said, you guys are always working on it. And if Twitter changes an API, you're on it and you do it because you have billions of users, and some plugin owner may not be that on it. So even if it shows that there's an update and the user is like on it, the update might not be available for a few days, so the thing is in essence broken. But to that end, though, the problem that I found with things like Publicize, specifically for Facebook, they all work pretty well for Twitter, but the problem with Facebook is it doesn't like the format of, or at least the algorithms don't favor the format that Publicize and other sort of like third-party posting plugins do onto Facebook, because Facebook values its own internal content so much, its own native content. So posting, a post from Publicize onto Facebook isn't necessarily as useful for a business specifically as it is to actually posting it directly natively in Facebook itself. So, and that is, they can tell that it's coming from an external source, and it doesn't get as many organic views, essentially.
I was going to say, it seems like that's true of almost all of them.
Well, not Twitter, because Twitter just comes out.
Well, I mean, all of the plugins that post to Facebook.
Oh yeah, it's basically Facebook's issue.
But yeah, so basically, if you're trying to market to social media, you're going to have to pay attention because they change stuff all the time.
Yeah, especially Facebook. Facebook just did a whole Pages crazy, has been rolling out crazy updates, and they just lowered their organic visibility rates again. So,
Well, actually, that brings up a really good point, is that one of the marketing things that you should do on your site is not rely on social media, because they change the game all the time, and you should make sure that you have email marketing tools set up for yourself.
Definitely.
Nice segue, Sarah. For example,
I was trying to figure out how to get there. Well done.
There is a recent update from the Constant Contact.
New release, I believe. Web Dev Studios actually built a new plugin called Constant Contact Forms.
Is it from like in partnership with Constant Contact?
Yes, it's actually official, unlike the 100 or so other Constant Contact plugins. This one actually has Constant Contact as one of the plugin authors. Web Dev Studios partnered with them and put it out.
That's a big deal for a lot of people, because those widgets have been messed up for a long time. A lot of them have been broken.
Yep.
So on the MailChimp side of things, I've fallen in love with a plugin called MailChimp for WordPress.
By Iberi-Code?
Yep.
Marriott.
I totally know their name. I was like, I love them. It's so easy to use.
Beautiful. Yeah, after going through so many over the years, that one's solid, and I really like it.
Every time I go into the repo to like install it for a client, I have to like remember which one it is. So I have to remember it by the developer name, because they all look so exact. It's like MailChimp for WordPress, WordPress, MailChimp, MailWord, Chimp Press. Really, I'm like, wait, which one was it? Shoot.
I'm gonna open up a new repo called MailWord Chimp Press.
Yeah.
MailWord Chimp Press.
So, if you're marketing with these, if you're trying to get email lists signups and you're using Constant Contact or MailChimp or whatever else you choose
Chimp Press,
whatever, what do you think of pop-ups and stuff? Because I've also come to really like a plugin called Boxzilla. Have you ever seen that?
Boxzilla.
Boxzilla. It does, and I think they're
Seriously, who's naming their stuff? Come on.
Right, like stop it with the
Well, what are you doing?
Yeah, just use use like one that's like WordChimp, Zilla,
Every time I've got to run a grunt script, it's like, what are you thinking?
Every time I install Monster Insights with that little face, I'm like, oh man, this makes me
So
look
this is
like
made by
I'm
the
a
same
kid.
company, right, John?
So for some, yeah, it is, and I think if I remember right, it just changed ownership to them
Oh, okay.
long ago, and I thought maybe they were tweaking, changing names or something. Anyway,
So what do you like about it?
Boxzilla I like because it lets you do scroll-triggered boxes, which are kind
nice.
of the preferable kind these days.
Yes, and you don't like opt-in monster for the same kind of thing?
Costi.
I understand.
Costi.
Yeah.
Get what you pay for.
Opt-in forms is another one that's not the same as opt-in monster. My clients
sorry,
are like,
say,
are those the same?
I was
Are
asking.
those the same?
I was
Yeah,
asking.
You're
I'll
asking
be honest,
John.
I haven't used opt-in monster much since the change to the API thing, like almost 18 months ago.
Okay.
Which is basically never.
Which is, well, it's still on 2 sites, like that we built a long time ago.
We use opt-in monster for the thing that you're talking about for pop-up forms.
For on-exit kind of scroll
But
stuff.
Honestly,
yeah,
one of the
specifically. Oh, go ahead, George.
Well, one of the really nice things about like doing pop-up boxes as folks are scrolling down your pages is that can be done purely in JavaScript. So that can be done like entirely out of WordPress. So if you don't trust your marketing department with like admin access to your WordPress site, you can do that through like Google Tag Manager, embedding just a little JavaScript tag from any third-party service. And then they have access to that and only that, which is fantastic.
Awesome.
And then when you're planning out different things to pop up on your site too, what's cool is that, plugins like Opt-in Monster and the other ones that we've discussed will also kind of guide you towards the ones that aren't going to piss off your users.
Oh.
So things like John and everyone were talking about, where you scroll down the page, and if you when you get to a certain point, then it shows you something, because then you've kind of demonstrated some level of interest in what the site has to offer.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah, and the exit intent pop-up is also very popular, which triggers when you move your mouse up to close the little window.
That is my least favorite of the pop-ups. As purely speaking as an end user, I know it's effective, but that is really annoying. No,
it's like someone tapping you on the shoulder as you're leaving the party, and they're like, "Oh, excuse me, just one more thing."
I just want to leave. Like I'm leaving now. Stop it.
Yeah.
I love the slide in halfway. I
Related
think that's the most
related to the
user-friendly.
pop-ups for email collection, which is super important. Google's changing their algorithms, right, to penalize sites that have full page takeovers like that.
Yeah, they are actually, it's on mobile because it is a bad experience for the user to have a pop-up come up. But most of the large companies have already put out marketing stuff about that, saying that they're going to address it. So basically they'll detect if it's on mobile, and then they'll have mobile only settings.
That's actually because they use Google AdSense, and Google AdSense actually does a whole screen popover thing, so they don't want to compete with that. There's nothing else to do with anything other than the AdSense thing.
There's another one. I think it's called Mail Munch. I'm trying to look it up, but it does. It allows you to work basically with any service that you have. So it's not just not just for MailChimp or whatever. So you can switch, pull it in, and then you can also pop the newsletter signups throughout your text or widget, or at the bottom of every post. So it's not just in a widget area, but it can also be threaded into your actual content, which is pretty cool.
We used one called Opt-in Cat. That was it's a MailChimp form.
It's specifically for cat blogs.
You would think, but the only thing is if you run it on a site that's fairly large, it tends to want to write every single time a person goes and sees that particular form. So the database gets
like
really big.
It writes that to the database.
Yeah, every single time somebody goes.
Bad.
That sounds like a problem.
That was awful. Yeah, there's a big checkbox. It's like, uncheck this if your site's busy. I'm like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So watch out for those sorts of things. Is that just because it's great that it's doing its own analytics? That's probably not something you want it to do on larger sites.
No.
I'm trying to find out which one this where I left it. There's also this cool comments plugin I found called Thank Me Later, which is what Steve says a lot. But also, it's like if someone leaves a comment and they leave their email, you can set it to automatically send them an email in a set number of days. So it's like an autoresponder for your comments. So you can be like, hey, thanks for leaving a comment, and check out some of these links, or, you know, let me know if you have questions, or whatever it happens to be. That one's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there are just some fun ones like that that can do that type of follow-up. Those are the ones I'm always looking for that can really kind of, you know, make follow-up, make customer service, make that actual action easier, you know? That's what I think is really useful.
George, what are you guys doing with doing emails? I know that you have a lot of different things within Jetpack that send out emails. You know, sending out an email when they post, sending out an email when somebody comments. Like, what's the next evolution of that for marketing type folks that are using Jetpack?
We're exploring several possibilities by way of allowing sites to do more customizability of the emails that do get sent out. I mean, that's a very tricky thing to do, because we can't just let the WordPress.com servers be an arbitrary gateway for sending out spam, because then everything get blacklisted, and we can't let the entire thing get redone as like random marketing spam every time a new post goes out. It needs to be focused on the content. So we're trying to figure out what the right balance is, because we do want to give folks the ability to customize it, maybe brand it more so it looks more consistent with their site. But at the same point, we don't want to basically turn into a shill for bad practices.
Right. I mean, like what Say was saying earlier in that how some of these things are super expensive and some of these things are really cheap, and it just depends on how it goes. You know, Jetpack, it's a one-click type install, and it's there, and it's ready for the person to start using. So
I use it as my default for so many things on all the clients, because it has all of the stuff in it. It makes setting it up for a beginning client so much easier. So I appreciate what you guys do over there. I have one more plugin to share.
Yeah, go for it.
It's called Highlight and Share. And it's fun. Basically, if someone highlights text on your site, it can share that specific quote to Twitter, or it will pop up an option to share the post or whatnot to Facebook and whatnot.
Kind of like the bookmarklet function inside of WordPress.
That makes the new makes the press this post.
Yeah, press this post. Yeah.
Medium kind of does that too, right?
Well, I think it's coming from Medium, and actually there's a really interesting conversation happening about highlighting text over on the WordPress track, about what's happening with the text editor, and if they should perhaps consider moving from or introducing highlighting instead of underlining, because the direction that Medium's taking everything with highlightion, if you will, is
highlightion. Is that
highlightion?
a word?
It is. I've been using it for years, so
it's a word
now it's on. Now it's on
highlightion.
Highlightion. But so Medium's really popularized that, and so I think that's something people are starting to look for, because underlining is confusing from a user interface perspective, user experience perspective, in terms of, is it a link, is it whatever.
Yeah, it's the hyperlink.
Yeah, so highlighting is interesting, so I like that one. It also goes along with click to tweet, which is a really cool thing where you can preset the quotes that get tweeted out. So if you're looking for people to share, you know, specific thoughts.
I guess the thing is the highlight ability of doing this on a mobile device is pretty difficult, and I don't see, I mean, if you have a lot of people that are going to your site on mobile, they're not going to highlight it and wait for a little thing to pop up, because something's already going to pop up from the operating system. So
I think we're actually seeing a split here in the ecosystem, because one of my clients this week, or not clients, but a person in one of my workshops came up and said, hey, doesn't this stuff not even matter because of desktops? No one's using desktops anymore. I think that's a really valid question and interesting, because this split is real and it is being emphasized by Google.
But the thing is, especially like think about Medium, I would gather that a significant portion of their readership is people reading shit reading things at work.
At work, totally at work.
They're reading things at work.
Yeah.
So if your demographic is people who are just, you know, in between sending emails, are reading industry news or things like that at the office.
So it's interesting. I think the split is coming, and we're going to start seeing a lot of tools we're going to start seeing a lot of tools for both sides, especially with the new pop-up rules and stuff that Google's implementing on mobile and the muscles it's flexing on mobile. So I'm excited to see next year what the new tools are.
Steve, Zeke values education. So we read industry news.
We value education.
And back to Reddit. All right. Well.
and marketing on Facebook by liking your friends' posts.
Yeah.
We also value tools, which is why I'm in charge.
I want to, if any of you know of a WordPress plugin that is an auto meme generator, please send it my way, because that's what I really want.
I typically just post stuff on Facebook, and then my friends make the memes. So
I think that the highlighting thing is a good point, but I also think it's coming from Genius or Annotate, whatever it's called.
Oh, I love Genius.
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, Genius
which, by the way, has nothing to do with the sport highlight. On that note.
That's it, folks. Go to our website at WPwatercooler.com. Click on the link.
Steve did right at the end there.
I'd appreciate it.
Steve making old jokes about old sports.
Highlight, does it even exist anymore? Highlight was a thing when I was a kid.
There's one here.
You ride your dinosaur to the highlight arena, dude?
I think only in Miami. Like, and only back on Miami.
No, there's one here in Long Beach.
There's a highlight arena in Long Beach?
Yes, let's go. We're going.
All the way down the rabbit hole.
I think we have to go now.
So Steve, if they have any feedback, they send it to is it Steve Zengit at Zeke, right? That's it, right? Yeah, that goes to a black hole.
Webmaster at Zeke.com.
Perfect.
Y'all do realize we're still live, right?
Oh yeah. All right, folks. See you later. Bye bye.